Welcome back to Indian Trace. I've got a couple things I want to do on this video. It's going to be a lot of fun. These are new. At least in the last 2 to 3 weeks I found these. We're going to talk about these. This is just humbling, mind-blowing. I used to grow up and go to museums all over the country, especially Native American museums my parents brought me to, and I'd see this kind of stuff and maybe not even as good as this, and I'd be amazed. And I didn't even consider you could develop your own, museum of sorts on your own. Fantastic collections exist from here to California. You guys have some. You know what I'm talking about. It's just humbling. Last 2 to 3 weeks this came in, which is surprising because it's been relatively dry, so I'm going to give some top tips today of how to do that if it's real dry. Now listen, I got a couple things. There was a mistake on the channel that had to do with this. If you remember, I showed you. The mistake about the last video was that I reposted a video that I didn't want to repost that had to do with one of the drills you saw. Take a look at this box again. Since you've seen this box about 6 videos ago, there's been a lot of people, and I just want to say thank you, that decided they want to have some. They just wanted to go ahead and put a frame from Eastern North Carolina together of some really top artifacts, and in many respects, just museum grade artifacts. I mean, in every way. And so you all have stepped up. Many people who wanted some stepped up, and they sent me postage and handling, and just, I guess, a nominal collector's fee that just makes it worth my while for the effort and quartz points. Look at this. Some of these have gone out. I mean, look at this, all the way down to quartz stuff. Look at that. But look what I was mentioning here. I got 2 packs. I'm getting ready to go to the post office right now. If you want to turn the video upside down, you'll be able to see. You can send, or go back 6 videos and I'll tell you exactly how to get some of the artifacts that you're seeing on Indian Trace. Especially speaking these. And I even included some bonus pottery in those packs, which to me is top end stuff. Just look at how it's fired. Look at the unique and particular qualities of it. Speaking of this culture of forgotten people. And there's a lot of great stuff in this box. I mean, top end stuff that's available. What I would consider, I mean, we go to artifact shows and you can easily drop $200, $300 on a top piece, and much more than that. Really. Some of the high-end pieces shouldn't be let go for any more or any less than $300, $400, no doubt about it. I mean, they're one of a kind. Their antiquity survived through the ages. But this stuff is a little higher than the basic field finds, because many of you in the past videos have seen my koi pond. It's full of great artifacts. I mean, I got a box in there that's 5 pounds that I need to put stuff out there into the koi pond that I just went out there and got the pump going. But this stuff is better. I can't put it out there. It's better. So that's a good look at everything in here. I mean, just really great stuff. That's sugar quartz right here. Crystal backing it up. That's enough time with that. So that's still available, and if you need to, I mean, look at the materials. Vein quartz, rhyolites. And I just select, and there's some scrapers here. Of course, these banner stones, the question came in before, I don't really let them go. But the points and scrapers you see, I do. The banner stones are just super rare. All right, let's go back over here. So remember, and then what shows up as soon as I can afford to package it up is this, which is really why I do need the postage and handling, and little extra money helps me. I'm in between jobs, and so I'm just moving forward. We do the best we can. Now look at this. and like I said, I've had about 7 people just step up and say, yeah, definitely, I want some of this stuff. Now, some of this stuff, believe it or not, maybe a few pieces, I already have an idea of a couple of which pieces will go in that box you just saw. It ain't go into somebody's frame or somebody else's home. It just it's a way that I can share the reality of the North American Indian in a tangible way. Where since many of us have been to museums and we look and we say, wow, can you imagine? And then many have shared with me that they just do not or cannot find this stuff. Keep that all in mind. Go back about 6 videos and check out that offering. Because in the last video I deleted because I reposted the video with this drill, so we'll open with it. I mean, it's a great video. I definitely didn't mean to repost. I don't know, I must have captured the wrong video. I have a new video going up from a great find yesterday, which was, as we just chat about this stuff, which was this piece. Little archaic serrated piece. It looked so great out in the cotton. It was just a good find, and it is a great piece. Just a great piece. So I did film that with some other stuff, and I just ended up posting this. I don't know, maybe I had drills on my brain. So let's go around here. Let's check out these in sort of sets. A couple pieces of quartz. We're looking at sugar quartz on the left, which is a super light brownish tan color, and then the vein quartz. Some great finds. And I found this at the Bear, and this one here at Crosslands. So different sites, I name them to keep things in track. So with this cleaning day, it's sort of a cleanup day, excuse me, which I don't do too many, but when the box gets too full, I've got to move them forward. Organize them, get them into my display box, and then think about how I'm going to balance things out for the future, for my sons, and just for posterity. I haven't figured out a way where I could have possibly, or would ever possibly, just archive and keep everything I find. I just couldn't do it. Too many people who are disabled, hurt, in pain, or just don't have a place to collect. Where they really, and you've already made the shout out, really appreciate getting some great artifacts. Now, these display pieces, the question came in, these display pieces in the top quality pieces where I host a cleanup like this every week, you know, like Richard's Rock House, they're available. No doubt about it. If you see something particularly that strikes your fancy or whatever, and you're interested, let me know, because I'm just sort of sharing with you in my mind and my heart the pieces that I feel are most outstanding from the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Look at the size of that Marl Mountain from the jump off. So with those sentiments of these that you're looking at being in my heart, now everything's great. The stuff in the box, a lot of it came from the last 2 or 3 weeks, is great. I can't leave stuff out there just to get destroyed and shredded up, busted up. I don't know who in their right mind, and there's plenty of people, think it's right to leave it out there. It will not be left alone, not in the places I find it. It will not be. Nice drill found at Mecca. I must have found that about 100 yards away from this drill. And I've found drills there before. Frank, the drill that you have, I found this drill in the exact same place that the drill that you got a hold of. And they're so rare that I say that, because it's not often these drills move around and trade hands. I do have the possibility of 1 or 2 drills. If you're really interested in getting a drill or what have you, we'll think about it, and it's possible that I can get you one. Now, here's the tips, because it has been drying the last 2 or 3 weeks. I want you to see these. This is a great piece that I found at the plateau. It's on video. But there's 4 tips I want to give you if you really want to find. Maybe you're having trouble, or and I've got some shout outs from New York or Pennsylvania and places across the country that they really want to find, and you're sort of beginning. Here's the most important aspects that I go through in my brain, and look at, the evidence is plain. I'm successful. The number one reason I'm successful, and I didn't control this part of it, is location. And then I've consolidated my locations. Look at that quartz piece. From Site 7, Deer Passage. Here's a piece from Mecca. And so location's huge. Especially when it's dry too, and you need to know where the acute and specific places you need to go are. Huge. Second, to be successful, even in those locations, I wouldn't be successful at all if it weren't for H2O. Good old H2O, good old water. Vital. I love that point right there. Solid. Here's a point that was on film, really turned out to be a graceful piece. Look at the bottom discoloration very slightly from the hafting or the sinew. It turns it brown a little bit on the rhyolite. It's banded rhyolite. So I've got location and water. I guess the third thing that you really need to know and understand is conditions. That includes agriculture and crop, what they're doing with the crop, whether they're double turning it, whether they're split seeding. I've found points in every cycle of agriculture. It is possible, but you got to know it. Here's a great point. Variated this black piece. So conditions are huge. I mean, understanding them. The last point I'll give you, if you're really interested in working, and it takes a bit of work, but it just takes, I think, some of you guys that collect would know, even you guys that dig, they think we're dirty or just rock collectors. Listen, it takes high intelligence, and I'm not the smartest. I'm not the smartest one around, that's for sure. But it takes smarts to figure out the mysteries of ancient peoples that were here 2,000, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago plus. Look at these points, little Guildford right here from Mecca. So I think spend a lot of time when I'm considering going out in the morning or whatever, just sort of praying and thinking about the probability of a site and statistically what that site has offered for numbers and for artifacts that I found in the past. Probability takes into account the conditions, the water, and the location altogether. What's the probability that there'll be any artifacts available? Another Mecca point. You can see the cortex. That's a great piece. Oh, here's another point. Mecca point, sort of tangerine. Nice piece. And some of the pieces you're looking at very well could go into the new home box. So this is getting long. I've seen some of you put relatively longer videos up, so I'm not too shy from it. These are great artifacts that I wanted to do them justice and give you guys a little tip, heads up. The probability of these sites, of course, again, has to do with the conditions, the water, and the location. What is the probability? Here's a great point. Guildford Straight Base from Back Pass, just right next to Mecca. It's worked all over. It's not broken. They resharpened it there. Might have just broke off, but it's just great stuff. Great point. So if you understand how to work probabilities and statistics in terms of what you believe is in a site, how much quantity, what kind of Indian occupation was there, you're going to be fairly successful. And then the last point I want to host from Mecca, and this point was from the jump off. Of course, remember, you might have seen on video this point and this big guy was in the exact same sort of spot. But I knew that the probability was high, and I'd already thought through the conditions, the water, and the location. So I was successful. Look at this piece. And this is from the split-seeded field. I love it because I can see where they sheared this piece of rock off, and they left the cortex there. It didn't matter to them. They worked with it. They made an awesome point. That is cortex, and you can tell it was a sheared, brute piece of flake, a rock, and then they just started to go to work on it to make what they needed out of it. So I really like this piece. It's sort of a favorite because I can see their mind, I can see what they needed, and I can see that it was all a utilitarian push within them to get their food. And just look, their needs and their food and their families. And what was demanded out of them. And that's why I like to host things here on Indian Trace. Consider what I've said, maybe it'll help you for yourself. Be well out there. I hope you find